What about me? I'm doing fine, thank you. A lot of things happening in our XR lab. Lots of exciting prospects, but a lot of work. So, but the good news is people are interested, and I think equipment is being put to good use. Yeah, but I'm really excited to see more output. So that's a lot of work, and yeah, we're looking forward to your involvement. Who knows? Yeah, let's see what happens. Anyway, so today I'm going to talk about a process of design. Now you're currently already having a specific game framework. Okay, some of you, I think we spoke last week during the tutorial session and a practical session. I specifically said we need to have a playable framework, so we can actually play a playable model. Yeah, so we can play it. Now I'm going to talk about the iterative design process today because it's very important. It's part of the whole process of the game design. Now remember, game design is a design, right? But this is something a little bit different. This is about research through playing. It's the best research methodology. Okay, you conduct research through playing, but there's only one specific design methodology approach called iterative design, which would definitely it definitely connects to how you design through action, through analysis, through testing, and so on. So let's a quick recap just to jog our understanding, or kind of a quick reminder to us that what is game design. So anyone wants to explain, like a quick reflexive, very quick one, okay, just a few minutes. What is a game design? What defines a game? Anyone? What defines a game? Something you can play with. What defines a game? What is a game? In your own words. In your own words. There's no wrong or right. Anyone? What defines it? Come on, you guys know. It's not like you don't know. You know in your own way. So don't be afraid. Just explain in your own way. Yeah. What is a game? See if your students put yourself in the shoes of a teacher or a lecturer. Hey teacher, what is a game? So how would you answer that kid? What is a game? Yes, Catherine, you put up your hand. No? Did you put up your hand? No. Yeah, I saw you put up your hand. What is it? It's anything. A game is anything. Pretty broad though. Can you be a little bit specific? What? Art is a game. Okay. Anything can be a game. Okay. Life is a game. So you're saying a game is an analogy. Good. Okay. A game is an analogy. All right. Anybody else? According to, I mean, you've seen this slide before, but see, other people said it has a ends and a means, an outcome, an objective. Then a game is a voluntary effort to overcome necessary obstacles. Voluntary effort, you intentionally get involved in something. To me, I would say, I don't always use big words, but I have to use these words, called immersion. A game is about immersion because you get into it, you role play. That's how I understand it. What about you guys? A game is what? Or a game is like, yeah, but it's too broad. Again, it's too broad because it's specific. Be playful now and explain what is a game. Be as playful. A game is likened to what? How do you compare a game to what? How do you explain a game to others? It has a purpose, something to achieve. Okay. Okay. All right. Good. Something to achieve, a specific goal. Yeah. Anybody else? What is a game? The game is like escaping from class. Trying to time myself whether I can escape from class to, you know. A game is like me dropping the bucket many times and I try to carry it. It's like you can explain it in many ways. You have to understand this. That was the first question I'm going to ask about your game. What is your game about? You have to explain in one sentence and I must be able to understand it. If I don't understand what you said in that one sentence, then I have no idea what your game is about. Before I even play your game, I must know what your game is about. Why do you purchase a game from Steam store? Because you know what it's about, right? You read the synopsis, you've heard it, you've seen the reviews, you want to buy it, right? So the same way, we have specific purpose in terms of how we want to evaluate your prototype. First thing is first. Simple. Before you get into all the details, what is your game about? And then if your game is all about the details, or this, my game is about, you see, you have these 5 cards, you put these 5 cards here, and I'm like, oh, yeah, you lost me there, you know. No idea. But if you say, well, basically, you need to win by this, something like that. You give me the gist. The game is about how fast can you do this, you know. Oh, I get it. So this is what the game is about. So you do this through cards. Then I'll be interested to know how to play it. Right? It's like reading a good storybook. If you look at the front cover, it looks really interesting. You want to turn the cover. So you have to know how to sell the idea. Yeah. Hello, Melissa. Why are you walking like that? Oh, okay. All right. Now, okay, another quick recap. The 2 schools of thought on gaming, directions and purpose. One is ludology and one is narratology. Okay. Now, ludology is simply what? Play to win. Okay, competitive play. All right. Bang, bang, I shoot, you lose. Ha, I get a point. Finish. A game is just want to achieve something and you achieved it and there you go. So there are tons of different games that is purely based on play. Yeah. So some of the principles of playing, some of the principles of competitive play or ludology is this. Now, games have specific principles, just like design principles. But unlike design principles focused on visual composition. But when it comes to game, it is the principles of play. And I tell you one thing, there's no fixed principle because different games have different rules. But that's the beauty of it. The subjectivity is what's beautiful about it because you can create your own rules. But there are specific principles that sort of like aligns with all the requirements of a game design. Play to win, play to gain, or you can have your own, you know, version of explanation. Play to understand or learn, play to stay alive, like survival games. Not dependent on any complex narrative. For ludological approach in gameplay, there's no need for a complex story. There's a very simple story. Doesn't mean that there's no story. This is sometimes a debate. Sometimes they say whether it's important a story to drive the game or not. What's that popular app game on phone? It used to be Temple Run. Temple Run. What's the story about Temple Run? Yeah, evil monkeys chasing you because you stole treasure and whatever, you know, you're like, but perpetually you're running, okay? And that's basically what, there's no complex narrative, it's very simple, right? Just run from the monkeys. Who are the monkeys? The monkeys are from this temple, and you know, you're like a Tomb Raider or something. So there you go. So not complex narrative, challenging the rules, there you go. Breaking essence of most games is that it gives human beings a satisfaction of challenging something. You want to be able to break a rule and earn something out of it. Either breaking a rule or being able to do something you can't do in real life. Or maybe you're doing something in real life, you're simulating it, but you're doing it better in the game. So you suspend disbelief, you suspend reality, you suspend realism. I shoot him in real life with a real gun, he'll get hurt. He's got bullet hole, blood, like that, you know. But in the game, bang, 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 I can't die yet, you know. Right? Bullets don't hurt me until it reaches this level. So, suspending realism. Narratology, on the other hand, is about story-driven play. It's so important to have a central storyline. And you can see lots of different examples. This I chose to show you this slide because it's my favorite game. I'm currently playing part 2. I know you guys have played it. Say nothing to me, all right? Don't spoil it. I'm currently playing this one, and yeah, it's really great, and I'm so pissed that he died. Shit, did I spoil it for you? Okay, anyway, but it's such a great story, and it really I get so immersed in the story. I get so determined to see what's going to happen to the character and where she will go, what she's going to do next. And also, there's so much character building in a story, and this is based on a specific protagonist, like you're playing a storybook, kind of like how I played Mass Effect. I can see Commander Shepard's journey from the first game to the third one. It's like you're really involved in an entire trilogy. So, story-driven games, Dungeons and Dragons, or fantasy role-playing games like Skyrim, soon Starfield, all these have a whole overarching story, and it's important for you to have that frame. The entire story branches off and becomes the frame of your game. But the complexity of it is purely in your hands, in your control. You decide how many layers of complexity you want to put in there. Now, games like this takes years to create, and a very big team of developers. Now, some of the basic principles of storylines is that you play to achieve a story conclusion. You want to see what happens. Okay? And it's like reading a good storybook. You see a great cover. You look at the blurb or the preamble of the story. This story is about this. Damn, I want to read it more. So like you keep wanting to turn the page. Yeah, playing to develop the character. Play as part of a story simulation. You become part of the story. You decide how the story ends. Yeah, play to fulfill quests. So there's quest after quest after quest, right? Until the final one, or totally dependent on the main story. So there are specific principles for gameplay to keep in mind during the iterative design process. Now, whether you're going towards something more ludology or something more narratology. Now, if you're going either one of these directions, these are some specific things to keep in mind. Hang on here. So one is play and challenge experiences. Analyze what challenges are. Ask yourself, is this game challenging you? How is it challenging you? How is the play experience? What is the play experience? So if you're in a team, you got to, after playing it, during the analysis stage, these are some of the questions you should ask yourself. What's the gameplay about? How's the gameplay like? Everyone explain, what's the experience like? Some of this it's exciting. I felt I had to do this again and again. I think it was, it made me want to keep trying this, all that. So, okay, so you have feedback from each members about play and challenge. What was most challenging about this game? This is the most difficult level, but there is problem with this. It's breaking the gameplay. It's dragging this too long. So during the analysis part, it's very important to have such conversations. Like, what are the play and challenge experiences? Do you, do you feel rewarded? Did you manage to achieve anything? So if you ask your team member during the play, and then you ask them, or when you do the play test survey, you might want to frame a question. Did you feel it was easy to achieve this level? What is the frequency of achievement? How frequent can you achieve that? And things like that. What are the rewards like? How rewarding do you feel? There are physical rewards, or there are things that maybe the reward is mainly on the emotional part. You want to feel happy, there's a sense of achievement. So these are some of the things that you can, rewards and achievement is one. Another aspect, another principle. Act of rebellion. Act of rebellion means making mistakes is okay in breaking rules. Remember, in real life, you can't make mistakes all the time. You can only make mistakes in a university. That's why you have a university. That's why you have to pay so much, because you're paying to make a lot of mistakes in class. So if somebody were to say to you, you come to class, you must get an A only, kick them out of the university, because that's why I never agreed to our scoring system. I never did from a long time, but it's out of my control really, because the powers that be have decided it that way, because you need to have a measuring tool to award a certificate, and you need to have a scale that classifies you as best in the world. The best. I think it's the stupidest thing, so stupid, because when I was doing my educational research, I'm pretty much over to John Dewey's approach, or a humanistic approach to education, or Howard Gardner's multiple intelligence approach, which iteratively being designed and applied, okay, and they stood firmly on the differences of individuals. You learn differently. You learn differently. You achieve differently. Are you trying to say the person who has a little autism cannot be as good? Or wouldn't want to rephrase that? Maybe, can you say that that person is better than another person just because he has autism? Or just because you have straight A's in your high school, you're going to be better than this other person? Or how about saying it like this? You can do this way better than that, but you can do another thing way better than him, which makes you both complementary. How about that? Because not everybody, there's no two person are the same. Now, making mistakes is definitely okay, because there are things that you cannot do, and it's probably very, very difficult. Now, in real life, you might not have all the skills as needed because you don't really have that specific skills. Or maybe you have not been trained in those skills. But what if in the game world, you get to do that skill over and over again? Like flying. Flight simulator. You know how many times I crashed my plane in Flight Simulator? Man, so many times. Did I get hurt? No. Did anyone tell me, Charles, you crashed your plane in Flight Simulator, therefore you get an F? Nobody said that at all. You tend to reflect it on your own. Then you start to become determined. I got to get this right. How do I? It just makes you more determined to get it right. Now, very interesting, isn't it? Act of rebellion makes you want to learn more. It's a real paradox. But in the university, acts of rebellion get you an F. So which one would you prefer? I prefer to come to class. Okay, let's all play this game. Let's all get into Ark Survival Evolved now. Right? Right? How awesome is that, isn't it? Never happens, you know? Right, okay. That's where you guys come in, you know? You guys probably change the future. Now, what about multi-sensory? Multi-sensory is the other thing. How did it appeal to your senses? Did you feel motivated after you have achieved this? Did you feel that this game stays with you? It keeps you it retains you in the game world. You feel drawn to it. You have these kind of questions that you frame. Yeah. Is it appealing? Is it beautiful? Do you think your game must be beautiful? Now remember, your prototypes doesn't have to be finished now. Okay, doesn't have to be even the final version. You don't have to spend like 2,000 ringgit or whatever for a really crisp, like super fantastic version. You know, but because it's never going to be a completely finished version, but you can create a mock-up, right? You can create a mock-up. You can do a really nice mock-up. Now, speaking of mock-ups, should it have a specific appeal? How specific is your appeal? Do you want it to look like this? Do you want it to look like, if it's about space adventure, it has to have the feel and likeness of a space adventure? As long as you achieve that, did it achieve that goal? So is it appealing? When somebody looks at a game board cover, it looks very appealing. Yeah. When you look at usually all games have you know, the intro or the cover or whichever, the banners, or they look so attractive. So appealing. Is it replayable? Would you want to play it again? Be extremely honest about that. Don't just because your friend designed it and you say, I don't think I want to play this ever again. It's horribly boring. Just be honest. Because it will help. Because it's nothing to be taken personally, because this is a design we're talking about here. If it's too draggy, say it's too draggy, I don't think we want to replay it. After playing that one round, it was interesting, but it took an hour and a half or 2 hours to play the entire game. Is it replayable? Nope. I don't think I want to play that again. But you know what's the mystery? Monopoly is replayable, despite taking a while. There's something about that game that keeps pulling you back in. But sometimes you're tired, you just don't want to play it again. So it's not always replayable, but it does make it, there is a replayable element. That's why it's published. So analyze existing games and look at critically what is replayable, what is not replayable. And then lastly, social. Does this bring people together? Does it bring your friends together? How do I feel about you after challenging each other in this game? Do I hate you after that? Or do I learn more about you? Or is we all somehow, while playing this game, we suddenly spontaneously had some conversation about the other classes and talking about the other lecturers or whatever, gossiping, and somehow you started laughing, and then you realize about a week ago, you and your peer, you were not laughing together about this before. You were like, yeah, hi, you know. So everything that you experience here, experience is data. Okay, everything that you're going to experience in your playtest is DATA, data. Write them down. journal them. That's why you need to journal. Yeah. So you make lots of observations. Now, how are you going to do this? And I did mention research by playing, okay? And you're using iteration design to produce a prototype. So this is basically you're using RIP, yeah? So research by playing, this whole thing is about research by playing. So you need to conduct study, because whatever that you're going to experience from your play testing is data. So you need to note things down, film it. That's the reason why for your exercise, you webcam, record your gameplay experience, etc., or feedback. Then iteration design, which I'm going to explain shortly. Then, of course, prototyping. Now, let's go straight into this. Now, prototyping via iteration design. Now, the process is simple. You already have a prototype now. I'm going to assume all of you have a playable model, because when I'm going to see you afterwards, I want to be able to play it. Yeah. So you have a playable model. It's important to have a playable model ASAP, because we're already now getting past level 1 of this project. Like project 1 is level 1. So level 1 means you must lock down a game idea and develop it through iterative design. So design a prototype, which you have that. So you're going to start play testing immediately. Start playing your model, yeah. Analyze what happened, right? And then it's back to step 1, modify your game to create a new prototype. Your prototype, not new prototype, a mistake actually, to develop your prototype, all right? So your prototypes keep improving. There's no game that you see on Steam that is not going through any kind of updates. There's always some updates, there's always some feedback from players, users. So design, test, analyze. Design, test, analyze. So how many rounds of this? One of you will have to keep a record. Okay, how many times have you played this game last week as a group? You can't tell, then you lost count. But you got to count, because why? Because these are the quantitative information that you need to identify how many times does it take, how many rounds, how many iterations did it take to reach a very playable version. That is a measurement tool. That is the quantitative analysis. Yeah, so you need to quantify that. But there is also the qualitative aspect to it, which is experience, jotting down your experience, all this data. Now, play testing is very simple. Play testing is very simple. Now, in game studies, most of the play testing usually done by the designers. But of course, I mentioned, don't just rely on yourselves. Later on, as your model becoming more developed, you might want data from others, okay? External play testers. It could be peers from other courses. Maybe you want engineering students to play your game. If you have peers who are from the engineering faculty or school, yeah, why not? So stop brainstorming. Don't brainstorm too long, which you already done some fantastic. You've done a lot of brainstorming last week. I think you pretty much covered that part. You're already prototyping, okay? I'm going to assume that. But don't be afraid about failures, because there will be feedbacks, boring, not good, I don't like this, it's not working. Don't be dismayed, and don't beat yourselves up just because something don't work. It's pretty normal. Yeah, all designs are not perfect first time around. And be critical, okay? Don't try to be honest, yeah, and keep it ugly. That means don't make it too impressive now. Let it be a rough versions, but as long as you have all the mechanisms in place, all the the elements there. Now, some of you might be asking, what's the difference between iterative design and design thinking? Here's a quick just in case. Some of you may be exposed to design thinking workshops or whichever. Now, in design thinking, is a design process established in Stanford. Now, this is widely being used in pretty much every area in the industry, whether be it education, be it engineering, design, fashion, etc. Right? And everything here points out to one thing. Can anyone tell me what is the center of this process? What is the center of this process? Or rather, let me rephrase the question. Why you're using this process for? For what? For the user. The user is the center of this design process. Basically, the user is always the center of every design. Okay? This here, Samsung Note 20, I know it's old. So this one is a phone, but this phone is just the phone. You didn't design the phone for the phone, but you designed the phone for me because I'm the user. Because I'm the one who's going to, like, I want to hold the phone in my hand easily. I want to be able to do this, and I want to be able to use my fingerprint and open it. Yep, I saw a message there. And I want to be able to scroll, like, you know, and so on. Same thing with iPad, iPhones, other products. Who is the center of all this design? You all. Yeah. So empathize, define, ideate. Empathize is trying to understand the user. Define, trying to understand the user's background story or the background of the problem. Yeah. Then ideate, trying to get some kind of idea, locking down a specific direction, you know, and so on. Then prototyping. See, prototyping process comes much later. In the design thinking process, you don't say, okay, let's create this immediately. You can't create something immediately without understanding the user. All right, so the process of empathize and define is extremely important. Okay, without those, don't waste your time ideating, because you first of all, you have to understand who your clients are, who your users are. Then after prototyping, then you test it. Now, how is this different from iterative design? Iterative design is cyclical. Okay. Well, design thinking is also cyclical, but that process is pretty clear. What you need to do, there are prerequisites. Here, immediately ideate. That's what you did. Immediately prototype. Then you build it, all your rough models. Then play it and analyze. Now, there are many iterations of this framework, but a very simple framework. You can start off by doing this. First, you design the prototype. Okay. Then you play test it. Then you analyze it. And then, but what's in between all that, this framework, what's in between that, note it down. What did you do here? What did you do here? What did you do here? Right? So have a framework of your process. Okay, so note this down, have a framework of your process, have a gameplay framework which is related to this. Yeah. Framework of your game structure. So now, last time I saw you, last time I showed you this, but it looked different, okay? Because that was based on another kind of, because we were more focused on board games as, I would say, a prototype. But here, we kept it open, and we're really going to use the iterative process. Now, the iterative process is this: design, play test, and analyze. So you're going to apply this to You already have the game proposal, right? Then you are currently applying the iterative process. Now in level 2, you're going to continue to develop the game framework, which means what I would expect to see as well from every group is a timeline. So you all have your specific timelines. As long as you meet, everybody converges towards the, if I'm not mistaken, I think probably around week 12 or week 13. Then we would expect to see a much more polished version for external industry people to come and play it. Yeah. So there you go. Now we will say, we call it the final version. We wouldn't call it the finished work, because I think this prototype, safe to say, is not a finished, it'll never be a finished version. So, but what's going to come out of it is your data. That's the golden thing that you're going to get out of this. That's your key takeaway. Yeah. And also take note the uniqueness of your gameplay. If I were to say what's so unique about your game? Okay, what's so unique about your game in one word? What, right? So okay, I think any questions? Anyone not clear about anything? You guys are so serious. Are you all clear or not? Am I making sense to you? No, you can openly tell me, be honest. I mean, Dr. Charles, you talking a lot of crap, you know. You sure? You understand? But anyway, we'll come and talk, yeah? I'll come over, we'll chat. Now, let's move on to your CAMS attendance.